Good evening. Welcome to the July 6th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Teresa, please call the roll.
Councilman Whalen?
Here.
Councilwoman Standard?
Here.
Councilman Romano?
Here.
Councilwoman Ballwood? Here. Supervisor Barrett?
Here, entertain a motion to approve Town Board meeting minutes of June 8th and June 15th.
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Swallow. Discussion.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ballwood?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, communications and announcements. I want to thank everybody for their participation in the July 4th parade. Parade was much different this year, no doubt about that. There were no walkers in the parade, so some of the usual participants were not with us, unfortunately, particularly a couple of the bands. But for obvious reasons, we believe that was in keeping with the spirit of the New York State mandates, and also was an opportunity and a necessity, we believe, to keep people safe during this event. So despite the fact that there were some people that are usually involved in the parade that weren't there, we did have a large turnout of participation. And I want to thank everybody for being there. It was interesting because this weekend the town itself seemed rather empty as you drive through. Even the exit 9 area, for instance, on Saturday afternoon after the parade or Sunday, and there just didn't seem to be many people around. But it was clear that many people wanted this opportunity to display their affection for the country and our community, and they do that on a regular basis, and certainly were able to do that Saturday through the parade, which was great. So I do want to thank our major sponsors, who were County Waste, Twin Bridges Waste and Recycling, as well as Prestige Services. So I want to thank all of them for their support. At this point, we have canceled all of the planned concerts for the Common that we have during the summer, our summer concert series. We've canceled all the concerts through July. We're getting close to August now, obviously, only a few weeks away. Our ability to hold concerts in August is still up in the air, and I'm not sure that's something we'll be able to do. But it's something that we'll continue to consider in the next week or so. Also had another idea regarding a concert, and it would be without a crowd. Instead, it would be streamed, and we could use it as a fundraiser for our Community Action Fund. It would be a way to have performers on stage at the outdoor stage on the Common, and there wouldn't be any sound, however. There'd be no outside sound, so if you were there, you wouldn't hear any music. So it's not, if people hear a band playing, naturally they gravitate towards the event that's occurring. In this case, there wouldn't be any outward noise. There would be a sound person with a sound board, and then that would lead directly to a system that would stream the event live. So that's something that is under consideration, and just looking into the mechanics of an event of that type to even see if it's possible. It appears that it would be. It's just a matter of having different music groups that would play. Obviously, we would look to have duos or single performers, but we could have several performers and garner some additional support, monetary support from sponsors, and also accept donations and do that all um, with the goal of expanding the amount of resources that will be available in our Community Action Fund going into its second year. It appears we will have, at least we're trending in that direction, that we will have more money in that account this year than we did last, which was terrific. Last year, we were able to help 17 organizations. So if we can do even more in 2020, that would be fantastic. And we'll do more to market the fact and remind people that those applications are available. But just to remind everybody, the money that was provided to these 17 organizations last year came strictly from the donation of bottles and cans that people left at the transfer station in the receptacles. And it's worked very, very well. We have a company that comes and picks it up twice a week. We get a check. We did have to sever our relationship with the bottle and can business up the street, which is part of a larger company and network. We did have to sever our relationship with them because it wasn't working out, but we did find a suitable replacement that has performed admirably to this point. So we're in very good shape year over year. We'll have a significant amount of money to grant to local organizations without using any tax money whatsoever, which I think is very important. So we'll continue to talk about that, the possibility of an event like that. Unfortunately, in 2020, so much of what we talk about is canceling. You know, what are we canceling next? It'd be nice to be able to add something new back to the equation. The pool's open this weekend. We have a very specific and successful safety plan in place. Our guards, our pool managers done a great job preparing for the opening Saturday. And the attendance was tepid. It was very, very limited. We expect, which probably mirrors the fact that the town, as I said before, was seemingly empty this weekend. So we expect attendance to rise this week and probably continue to build because we know there's a demand. We've sold a fair number of tickets in a short period of time, so we know the demand is there. So we expect that the attendance will climb this week and into next week. It is a shortened season. Barney Road's open 5 days instead of the usual 7. Country Knolls is open 7. And, you know, that's just a function of how many lifeguards were still available to work. Many of them secured other opportunities, doing other jobs or internships, whatever it might be. So so that was just a function of how many guards we had available. I want to thank all the guards that returned and for adjusting very well to the new safety regulations, because a lot of that falls on them in particular. And I want to thank them for their hard work and ability to adjust and adapt to changing circumstances. And the same could be said for all town employees during this difficult time. So those are some updates that I have. The full day camp is underway as well and looks to be running very efficiently, so that's good. We have our adventure camp coming up soon, so we're continuing to offer as many recreational opportunities as possible under safe conditions. And that will continue to be our goal for the summer and into the fall. Any other communications or announcements at this time? Okay. All right, so that's a little bit of an update on what's going on in town. If you would like to buy pool tickets, those are for sale only at the Parks and Rec office, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. What we did last week was Jean and Diana were nice enough to spend a couple hours up the Barney Road one day and a couple hours up the Country Bowls another day last week, and we sold tickets at the pools, making it a little more convenient for people in the neighborhood as a test run. And the response was very strong, so I think we'll do that again. I'm not sure we'll do it this week. We'll consider maybe Thursday and Friday. But as soon as we make that decision, we'll make an announcement. So I think people appreciated the fact that they could just walk, if they live in the neighborhood, obviously, just walk there and buy tickets, or maybe stop on their way home, whatever the case may be. It's just a little more convenient. So I think we'll definitely try to do that again soon. All right, Teresa, we do have several resolutions this evening. If you could read through those, please.
A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an outside user agreement for the Rexburg Water District Number 2 Extension Number 1 for property located at 4 Appleton Road, whereas the town board, as commissioners of the Rexburg Water District Number 2 Extension Number 1, has reviewed a request to extend service to land owned by Marcy and Dennis Quinn at 4 Appleton Road, Rexburg, more particularly identified as SBL 275.1-22.21. And whereas the real property is located outside the current service area of the Rexburg Water District Number 2 Extension 1, and whereas the Clifton Park Water Authority has determined that sufficient capacity exists within the Rexburg Water District Number 2 Extension Number 1 to provide service to the property, and whereas the town board recognizes the environmental, planning, and policy objectives met by approving water services over alternative plans. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, as commissioners of the Rexburg Water District Number 2 Extension Number 1, and hereby approves an outside user connection to the district's facilities for property located at 4 Appleton Road, Rexburg, New York, and be it further resolved pursuant to resolution number 208 of 2005 that the fee for connection to the facilities of the Rexburg Water District Number 2 is $800 per lateral, which fee will be used to pay down remaining bonded debt associated with the infrastructure, and be it further resolved that the outside user agreement shall be assigned to the property at 4 Appleton Road, Rexburg, and connected to the Rexburg Water District Number 2 Extension Number 1 facilities. The agreement shall run with the land. A resolution authorizing the hiring of 2020 summer help for the Buildings and Grounds Department, whereas openings exist for the seasonal help in the Buildings and Grounds Department. Whereas Daniel Clemens, Buildings and Grounds Supervisor, has recommended that Ryan
Papalarczyk.
Say it again.
Papalarczyk.
19 Berkshire Drive West, Clifton Park, and Brendan Trump, 7 Maple Line Road, Clifton Park, be hired to fill the positions. Now therefore be it resolved that Ryan Papalarczyk and Brendan Trump be hired as seasonal workers for the Buildings and Grounds Department for the summer of 2020, each to be paid $12 per hour effective immediately, to be budgeted for Buildings and Grounds part-time employee. A resolution authorizing the execution of a grant contract with New York State Canal Corporation for a pedestrian improvement project at Bishop Ferry Nature and Historic Preserve, whereas by resolution number 102 of 2020, the town awarded the construction contract to Betty and Frank LLC for improved recreation access to the Bishop Ferry Nature and Historic Preserve. And whereas the New York State Canal Corporation has awarded the town a $150,000 consolidated funding application grant to offset a portion of the cost for the design and construction of the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign the attached consolidated funding application Canal Development Fund grant contract for $150,000 for the improved recreational access project at the Bishop Ferry Nature and Historic Preserve. A resolution to set and approve the offer of just compensation to property owners adjacent to the pedestrian safety action plan project at Clifton Country Road. Whereas by resolution number 8 of 2018, the town authorized a professional services agreement with Green and Peterson Incorporated for preliminary design work with subsequent approvals for more advanced engineering design for a pedestrian safety improvement project in the vicinity of Clifton Country Road. And whereas by resolution number 16 of 2019, the town accepts federal aid and state Marchicelli program grant funding for pedestrian improvements and safety at the intersections of New York State Route 146 and Clifton Country Road, as well as Clifton Park Center and Clifton Country Roads. And whereas Greenland Pearson Incorporated recommends the acquisition of certain real property for right-of-way and utility purposes for the advancement of the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the acquisition of the property interests as listed in the attached just compensation letter from Greenland Pearson Incorporation and authorizes the supervisor to sign the attached offers to the listed property owners for the project. A resolution allowing a temporary change to the membership fees for the 2020 summer season for Barney Road and Country Knolls Pool. Whereas the regular pool season has been modified due to COVID-19 and the town board wishes to enact temporary guidelines for entrance fees to the town pools, and whereas the opening date for the Country Knolls and Barney Road pools was moved from Memorial Day weekend to July 4th, 2020, with the Locust Lane pool remaining closed for the 2020 season, and whereas the town board wishes to provide a modified fee schedule for the town pools for the 2020 season, and whereas Chapter 153 of 16 of Town Code provides the authority to establish membership fees for the town pools, and whereas the town supervisor recommends that a daily rate be set at $5 per person in the guidelines in Schedule A 2020 town pool operations be adopted for the 2020 pool season. Now therefore be it resolved that the fees and operating guidelines for the 2020 pool season be adopted effective July 4th, 2020. A resolution authorizing lifeguards to be assigned as needed and for the hiring of alternate lifeguards for the 2020 pool season. Whereas resolution number 77 of 2020 authorized the hiring of lifeguards and head lifeguards for the 2020 pool season, and whereas the 2020 pool season has been modified with 2 of the 3 town-owned pools operating on an abbreviated schedule, and whereas the town supervisor wishes to allow flexibility in scheduling of the lifeguards in order to operate the pools as needed for the 2020 pool season, and whereas Supervisor Barrett has recommended that the individuals listed on Schedule A be accepted as alternate lifeguards for the 2020 season. Now therefore be it resolved that the attached Schedule A be accepted as the list of alternate lifeguards to be hired if needed, and be it further resolved that lifeguards and head lifeguards are authorized to work at any of the town-owned pools as needed, and be it further resolved that the alternate lifeguards shall be paid Step 1 according to the 2020 pool salary matrix from the appropriate fund. Barney Road lifeguards, Locust Lane lifeguards, and Longfield Park District Number 2 guards, effective July 4th, 2020. A resolution authorizing the hiring of Adventure Challenge facilitators and assistants per Schedule A. Whereas the town board wishes to hire Adventure staff to conduct the 2020 Project Adventure program within the Department of Parks and Recreation. Now therefore be it resolved that the individuals on the attached Schedule A are appointed to schedule positions, to said positions effective July 6, 2020 through October 31st, 2020 at the salary amounts listed on Schedule A to be paid from Adventure Challenge facilitator and Adventure Challenge assistant. A resolution hiring full-day camp counselors and specialists for the 2020 summer day camp program. Whereas the town has been required to make adjustments to camp operations due to the New York State orders relative to COVID-19, and the list of available counselors and staff has changed since the list was first created in April. And whereas the town board wishes to finalize the staff members for operation of the modified town's summer day camp program for 2020, and whereas Myla Kramer, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Affairs, has recommended that the individuals listed in the attached Schedule A be hired. Now therefore be it resolved that the individuals listed in the attached Schedule A be accepted as staff for the town's 2020 summer day camp program effective June 20th, 2020 through August 21st, 2020, to be paid as indicated on Schedule A. And be it further resolved that the staff hired in resolution number 80 and 81 of 2020 are hereby replaced with the staff listed on Schedule A of this resolution. A resolution extending an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Mechanical and the town of Clifton Park for the provision of animal control service. Whereas pursuant to section 119.0 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York, the parties are authorized to enter into binding agreements for the cooperative performance of various municipal projects, contracts, and functions. And whereas the town of Clifton Park and the city of Mechanical recognize the benefit of both municipalities that arise from the cooperative provision of service to their residents. And whereas resolution number 15 of 2014 authorized an agreement between the town of Half Moon and the town of Clifton Park for shared services in the area of animal control. And whereas Clifton Park and Mechanical wish to extend such an agreement whereby Clifton Park will provide on-call and sick vacation coverage for the Mechanical Animal Control Department. And whereas Clifton Park has the personnel and equipment to provide on-call and sick vacation coverage for the Mechanical Animal Control Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the adoption of an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Mechanical and the town of Clifton Park for the provision of animal control services per the attached agreement, and be it further resolved that the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Clifton Park and the city of Mechanical is hereby authorized for the period commencing July 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. A resolution appointing Ram Lalukota as a member of the planning board, whereas a vacancy exists for a member of the planning board with the resignation of Jason Beach from the position, and whereas Ram Lalukota, 35 Balsam Way, Clifton Park, is hereby recommended by the supervisor to fill the vacant position. Now therefore be it resolved that Ram Lalukota, is hereby appointed planning board member for the remainder of Mr. Beach's 7-year term to expire December 31st, 2021, and be it further resolved that this appointment shall take effect immediately. A resolution appointing Randy Gifford as a member of the zoning board of appeals. Whereas a vacancy exists for a member of the zoning board of appeals with the resignation of David Donahue from the position. And whereas Randy Gifford, 41 Sweetbriar Drive, Boston Lake, is recommended by the supervisor to fill the vacant position. Now therefore be it resolved that Randy Gifford is hereby appointed zoning board member for the remainder of Mr. Donahue's 7-year term to expire December 31st, 2022, and be it further resolved this appointment shall take effect immediately. A resolution appointing Dr. Lai Feng Wang as an alternate to the zoning board of appeals. Whereas a vacancy exists for an alternate to the zoning board of appeals with the appointment of Randy Gifford as a member, and whereas Lai Feng Wang, 21 Stable Gate, Clifton Park, is recommended by the supervisor to fill the vacant position. Now therefore be it resolved that Lai Feng Wang is hereby appointed zoning board alternate for the remainder of Mr. Gifford's 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2020, and be it further resolved this appointment shall take effect immediately. A resolution on appointing 2 part-time armed court officers to work as needed, whereas a need exists for part-time courts officers, and whereas Michael Welsh, 6 Fair Lawn Court, Boston Lake, and Scott Ostrander, 617 Sunny Lane, Boston Spa, have been recommended to fill the positions, and whereas Mr. Welsh and Mr. Ostrander combined will bring many years of law enforcement experience to the safety and security of the justice court. Now therefore be it resolved that authorization is hereby given to appoint Michael Welsh and Scott Ostrander as part-time armed court officers at grade 6, step 1, to work as needed, effective immediately, to be paid $25.47 an hour from security part-time court officer, and be it further resolved that Michael Welsh is also appointed as the town instructor for security officers.
Okay, any questions on the resolution? Teresa, if you read the headings, please.
Resolution number 122 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an outside user agreement for the Rexford Water District number 2 extension number 1 for property located at 4 Appleton Road.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Mrs. Standard, and this is a new user to the Rexford Water District. More the merrier, as we've discussed in the past. Anytime we can add a new user to one of these districts, it certainly benefits the homeowner that is being added, as well as the district as a whole. Any discussion?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallace?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 123 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the hiring of 2020 summer help for the Buildings and Grounds Department. So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. Hello, sir, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, tell us about, Ryan and Brendan.
Well, with the state mandates, we lost 4 of our summer help and we're down that. So these 2 are being recommended. Ryan is a returner. He's been 80 years in the past.
Right.
And then Brendan, came to us through a reference through the counselors he's not being able to get a job. And, we recommend that, they'll help us with the weed whacking and the park maintenance, especially now since we're doing a little more in the parks and keeping them clean with everything going on.
Alright. Well, very good. No, we are down a few. They started late, our seasonal employees in buildings and grounds. And, as I said before with the lifeguards, same was true of some of the buildings and grounds, individuals on a seasonal basis. They had also found other opportunities or went to other areas. So we wish them well, and perhaps a couple of them will come back next year when they didn't return this year. So we'll see, but at least we get to add two more young men here for these positions. Any questions for Kieran?
Thank you.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sandbar?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 124 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the execution of a grant contract with New York State Canal Corporation for a pedestrian improvement project at the Bishop Barry Nature Historic Preserve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Mrs. Standard. I'll ask, oh, no. Oh. Where did you get that face cover?
Oh, John.
Oh. You gotta show the people at home your
No, you
face
can go
cover.
right, right. Tony will slide
Just
over.
turn around for a second. Yeah, so,
Tony will give up his.
New York Mets, if you're not familiar with that logo.
You can sit down.
See, by now, if it was a regular baseball season.
Yep.
By now, they would have been mathematically eliminated a month ago. So actually, right now, you're still alive. So
It's an undefeated season.
yeah, I mean, normally by what? Beginning of June? mid-June,
Opening day.
Pretty much done, right?
Absolutely.
So there you go. Aaron, you can go.
It's okay.
Yeah, you don't have anything else, do you?
Nope,
All right.
thank you.
I don't really have anything else for you.
All right.
Yeah.
I would wait out.
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Trying to keep our numbers down in here, so go ahead, John.
Sure, so this state canal grant was a result of getting a $150,000 award in last year's consolidated funding announcement through New York State grant opportunities. And it was to offset construction costs that were anticipated with the project. We've already committed match with local funds to grant resources that were already obligated. So this is $150,000 in just pure grant award, but the town's already committed local matches with other phases of the project. So there's no additional local matching funds that need to be obligated to receive this additional $150,000. So it's a win for the town.
Yeah, this enabled us to fill that funding gap, as John described, which was very good news. And if you haven't been down in that area, Coots Dry Dock, along the preserve, take a couple of minutes. Leo Coombs, who is an Eagle Scout, will be an Eagle Scout very soon. His Eagle Scout project was a new bridge in the Coots Dry Dock area. And that bridge will lead to this bridge that we'll be building, which will open up access to that section of the preserve for more people. It will provide easier access to that area of the preserve. And when I say Leo built a bridge, he built a bridge. They had these huge planks, Amish-made planks, and They are huge. Yeah. You seen it, John?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they did an incredible job. So I was down there when they were working on it. Very impressive. So that bridge is going to be there for a long, long time, as will ours, I expect. So between those two access points, the people that visit Coots Dry Dock either park there or just visit there by foot from other parts of the preserve will be very impressed and thankful that those two connections are being completed. Any questions for John? Okay. Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Lozano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Oliver?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, you're here for the next one, John.
Resolution number 125 of 2020, a resolution to set and approve the offer of just compensation to property owners adjacent to the pedestrian safety action plan project at Clifton Country Road.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Ms. Wall, second by Mrs. Standard. This is another exciting grant opportunity that the town has won. We've been working on this project for some time now, but we're getting close. We're getting close. And this will provide safe and effective pedestrian access in busy areas in the town of Clifton Park. So we have talked about this project on many other occasions, but it's good to know that it's now coming to fruition. So why don't you give us an update, John?
Yes, basically what this provides for is what's known as a just compensation offer to private property owners for fee acquisition of additional right-of-way that's needed for us to demonstrate that we have complete site control of where the improvements are proposed for the pedestrian enhancements and infrastructure that will be installed. This is getting us one step closer to being able to go out to bid for construction. We do have to demonstrate to the state that the advanced detailed design plans that we have site control to construct all the improvements in the areas as shown proposed. So this gets us closer to that. We were able to get a waiver from New York State to do a just compensation order, because you'll see the values in the table that were attached to the resolution are much lower, because it's a small sliver of land in many cases than what it would actually take to do a fair market value appraisal. So there is an expedited waiver process that we do comparable sales. We make a offer based on the comparable sales, and the property owners have the ability to accept that. The private property owners have been very supportive of the project. It will benefit them and their tenants. So they'd like to see the project come to fruition also.
Yeah, we're very excited about this project. And while you're here, why don't you give us an update on Sidley Road? It's underway and things are moving.
Yes, Sidderly Road, both power providers have been in. That was the major utility coordination that had to be conducted, with both National Grid coming in first, clearing the trees, removing their poles and power wires, and then NYSEG coming in, taking down a hillside by Twin Lakes in the town of Half Moon and relocating their poles, and then running a new service line just over a week ago to the Twin Lakes apartment complex. And they decommissioned the old line, charged the new line. In about 2.5 hours, that changeover was completed. Now Verizon, Time Warner Cable, and I think one other data provider are just relocating their service feeds. Once that's done, the contractor will be coming back. We're anticipating by August, that process will begin, and the project will be substantially completed on or about November 20th of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and that's the Sidley Road improvement, Sidley Road corridor improvement project that we're describing. So that project is underway. Fortunately, the utilities are taking some time here, but we're looking forward to construction as soon as possible. Great, so any questions for John on those two items? Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Muller?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 126 of 2020, a resolution allowing a temporary change to the membership fees for the 2020 summer season for Barney Road and Country Knolls pools. So moved. Second.
Hey, John, I do have some surgical type generic masks upstairs. I'd be more than happy to give you a package.
Thank you, sir.
Is that moved by Ms. Waller? Second by Mrs. Sanders?
Sure.
So, like I mentioned, the pools are opened as of Saturday. Now, typically, we have a membership fee for the full season. Since the season is abbreviated and we're open less days during the week with Barney Road than normal, Locust Lane is not open for the season. We believe that the only fair process that we could undertake was a daily pass ticket that people could buy at $5 a person, and that is what we instituted for 2020. I expect we'll go back to the membership process next year. There are also some other new rules and regulations that were implemented. Some we did with trepidation, and certainly we were not pleased to have to institute some of the rules, but we believe there was no way around it. With the need to limit the amount of people within the pool facilities at one time, it seemed only fair, especially going into a season where we just don't know what to expect. That it would be only fair to ensure to the greatest extent possible that Clifton Park residents have the opportunity to use the pools. Clifton Park supports these pools on an annual basis. We have large expenses and needs with regard to these pools that are paid for by Clifton Park. And the concern was if we opened up eligibility to people outside of Clifton Park, there are other municipalities that did not open their pools. And I know there are a fair number of people that were hoping to come to Clifton Park or visit another municipality. And I just think we would draw from quite a large area, likely have large numbers of people wanting to enter the pools, especially on a warmer, nice day, and that Clifton Park residents would be left out. That was a major concern. And again, we're going into this. I mean, it's completely uncharted waters. We don't know what to expect as far as attendance, other than we know how many tickets we've sold so far. And the demand for those tickets has been fairly high. But you don't buy a ticket for a certain date. I mean, you buy a ticket to enter the pool on any day. The tickets are good for any day of the year that the pool is open. So we know the number of tickets we've sold, but we're just not sure what the demand will be on a daily basis. There were other regulations that, and just go back to that for a second. Once we opened it up to people that do not live in Clifton Park, that is a very large universe of people. Again, based on the fact that some municipalities did not open their pools. That's a large universe range of people that could want to visit the pools here at Clifton Park. And again, we only have 2 open this year as opposed to 3, and Barney's open less days than normal, 5 instead of 7. And we're closing earlier than normal. We're closing, one pool's closing the 14th, I think it is, and the other one the 23rd. So we're closing earlier than normal. So the season is already contracted, and that was another concern regarding attendance. So I know that that decision did not sit well with many people in the surrounding area. We've heard from people from Half Moon, Malta, Colony, and other municipalities around the capital region that weren't happy about that decision. But I will note that every other municipality that has opened their pool also has had a residency requirement, likely for that same reason, reasons that I discussed before. So that's what led to that decision. Now we're reassessing all the new rules and regulations regarding the pools and anything else this year on a consistent basis. So might that change? It might, but as of right now, we do need to restrict attendance to Clifton Park residents only for all the reasons I mentioned. Anyway, some other things we had to do were slides and the high dive. We did close those as well. The kiddie pools are closed. We have kiddie pool within each pool facility. So that again was a difficult decision, but we felt under the circumstances we had no choice. So we put out a list of all the rules and regulations and some of the safety measures we were putting in place prior to the pools opening. You'll still find that information on cliftonpark.org if you haven't seen it yet. So we appreciate everybody's understanding. Hopefully next year we can return to what I would consider a normal pool season, where we're going back, reverting to all of the normal rules and regulations that everybody has been accustomed to for the 20 years that the town has owned pools. So that's about the best way to describe our decision making on that in a brief period of time. Any other comments, questions on this? Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stengers?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallace?
Yes.
Supervisor Barron?
Yes.
Resolution number 127 of 2020, a resolution authorizing lifeguards to be assigned as needed and for the hiring of alternate lifeguards for the 2020 pool season.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Stanton, second by Ms. Wallowin. Again, I do want to thank our pool managers, all the returning guards for being flexible heading into the 2020 season. They are the people that are leading the example within our pool facilities each day now. And their job is much different than it was last year or years prior. There's more regulations to follow. And I just asked the guards, the head guards that I met with, just do the best you can. Know what the rules and regulations are for 2020. And I thought that they would receive a tremendous amount of cooperation from the patrons who visited the pools. So far, that's been the case. So I want to thank everybody that's visited the pools for your cooperation. Also thank all of our employees at the pools for doing a great job in the initial weekend. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. I mean, we've said that about so many things this year. It's been a year of daily changes of circumstances on the ground and the need for us to react to changes each and every day. So we're just going to continue to assess circumstances at the pools and every other program each and every day and make adjustments where necessary. Any comments on that? Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stander?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waller?
Yes.
Supervisor Barron?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the hiring of Adventure Challenge facilitators and assistants for Schedule A. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallach. Well, Venture Challenge is another program we are continuing in 2020. And it feels good to say that. Like I said before, in a year where there's so many cancellations, it's good to continue these fun programs. So where do we stand with this program at this point, Alan?
Well, we have 3 weeks that are almost filled, and we moved 1 week, so I'm guessing that based on the other weeks, so probably will go close to filling as well. We're very happy to have some new people on board. Jacob Panacea, that's on the resolution, has kind of moved up from being a camper there to an aide. And he now has had enough training that he can be an assistant, which is, he's a great kid.
Good.
And we're very excited to have him. And Ryan is new, but he's coming to us. He lives in town, and he's coming to us from college with a lot of experience, which we're also very happy about. It's a program that a lot of parents are very grateful that we're still running this year, when so many other things have not been able to run.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning of the meeting, we're any program or recreation opportunity we can offer, we will. And do it as safely as possible. As far as full day camp goes, seems to be going smoothly. Knock on wood. We have about 100 campers a week, right?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
little over 100 on average.
Yeah, we've had a couple of new ones that have come on recently, but Teresa and Jen are doing an amazing job over there. Their leadership is fantastic. The counselors are amazing. All the new the changes that they've been working with this year. We're very lucky, and we're very grateful for them for their flexibility, and they're wearing masks the whole day essentially.
Yeah.
And they're putting the safety of the kids above everything, and the campers are still having a great time. So even with the changes, it's still summer camp.
Yeah, I was talking to a parent Saturday, and they said what a great time the child is having, which was a relief, because I even said to them, I said, I know it's disappointing this year. Usually we do a trip once a week and other activities that fortunately this year we can't do. And she said, no, I mean, he's so excited to be out and active and with a group of kids. And even though it's different, with the distancing and the protective measures, the kids adapt much more quickly, I think, than adults in some instances. So, so that she said he's having a great time. So I was relieved to hear that. The demand for the camp has been down this year. There's no doubt about that, which is understandable. There's more people home, more people working from home. So it would make sense that demand would be down. And I'm sure there's parents that are concerned about the virus itself, that do not want their kids to attend the camp. But I think from the safety plan that's been implemented and the way I've seen it play out and executed as the camp has progressed over the last week, it's a sound plan and sound execution. So I do want to thank all of the town employees working at the camps. They too, just like the lifeguards, have had to adapt to a very different situation. They're doing a great job. The other thing is we couldn't have the half-day camps this year because we use school facilities as backups in a couple instances, Octay, and then the Collins Park half-day camp uses a school facility for rainy days. So we were unable to offer the half-day camp because those facilities were not available this year. Hopefully the half-day will return to normal like everything else next year. But we were able to pull from some counselors who worked the half-day, realized, oh boy, I'm not gonna have a job, and were suddenly interested in full day, which was great. So we had, as far as counselors were concerned, we did not have a problem with numbers because we had a much larger pool to draw from for that reason. Okay, any questions for Milo about any of the camps? Any questions?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallen?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 129 of 2020, a resolution hiring full-day camp counselors and specialists for the 2020 summer day camp program.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. Anything to add here, Milo?
No, we're grateful for the flexibility of our half-day counselors that wanted to come work full day, and for some of the half-days, site directors, we told them some of these kids might love full day more and want to come back next year.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, no, that's all, they're just doing an amazing job.
Okay, good.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallen?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 130 of 2020, a resolution extending an intermunicipal agreement between the city of Mechanicsville and the town of Clifton Park for the provision of animal control service.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wallen, second by Mrs. Standard. We've had an agreement with the town of Half Moon to help them with their animal control services since 2014. And Mechanicsville called recently and asked if we could help them as well. And we said we would. So, this intermunicipal agreement will be very similar to the one we have in place with Half Moon, and will help Mechanicsville for the foreseeable future. Okay, any questions? Comments?